back to how we try to brush aside the variant readings. Notice what I said about 37:12. One says, you were astonished. The other one has his God saying, I was astonished. Oh, but that's no big deal. That's something minor. We can brush it aside. Oh, really? So are you acknowledging that the variant reading affects whether your God can be impacted by the actions of his creatures in time and space? Because I was astonished and you were astonished is not the same unless you think Muhammad is Allah. And what Muhammad feels, Allah feels. Thirdly,
this works on us like a straw man, because we never claimed that it would be a consistent reading of the Quran, one reading. We claimed that it would be in multiple readings because the Prophet recited it in multiple different ways. So, yeah, it has no effect on with us having multiple different recitations or there being disagreements amongst the companions. That has no bearing because we know from the very beginning they would differ on the readings because the Prophet gave them differing readings.
You guys as Christians can't use that as a response because you guys don't believe Jesus spoke in multiple different ways, or that Paul spoke in multiple different ways, and that there's variants and differences that all come back from the same source. We can say that as we believe the Quran was recited in several different ways.
The proper explanation on how we understand Ajibta and Ajibtu is one, just to give like a basic outline, right? So the qira'as, the different recitations, they're gonna have different meanings possibly, but when they do have different meanings, they never contradict, but rather they complement the Quran. If someone recited only that Allah was astonished, or Allah wondered, or Allah was amazed, for the entire life they only read that would have been sufficient. As I mentioned before, one qira'ah is sufficient for us Muslims to read. You don't need to read all of the qira'ahs.
that your God is affected by your actions in time, which means he was caught by surprise. So this is
as I said, so like being affected in time, like God doesn't eternally forgive us. Like when we ask for forgiveness and we repent, then God will forgive us in time. So like that's just most intuitive, right? He says, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wonders and we wonder, therefore he's caught by surprise.
Is affected by your actions in time, which means he was caught by surprise. So this is
well, that's not the case. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala acts in that he wonders, the meaning of that is explained by scholars such as Al-Baghawi. The amazement of Allah Almighty and Majestic is not like the amazement of humans. As he said, so they mock them and Allah mocks them. Surah Tawbah. And Allah Mighty and Majestic said, they forgot Allah, so he forgot them. So Baghawi is providing examples where we have a literal understanding of Allah forgetting or Allah mocking, but his forgetting and his mocking isn't the same way of our forgetting and mocking, because his actions have no deficiencies at all, while our actions do have deficiencies. Such as when we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge and I have knowledge, but my knowledge is limited, Allah's isn't. So my one will have entailments of deficiencies while his wouldn't. This is known as analogical predication, where we assign a certain similarity of a word onto a subject, but that's where the similarity ends. Al-Baghawi goes on to explain, the wonder of humans is their denial and reverence, while the wonder of Allah, Most High, may be in the sense of denial and condemnation, or maybe in the sense of pleasure and satisfaction. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wonders, he either wonders in a sense of him showing pleasure, or in a sense of him showing his displeasure. And this has nothing to do with him being surprised, or with him having any sort of deficiencies. Another example to highlight analogical predication is when we say, for example, Allah exists and I exist. Well, just because I exist, it involves deficiencies such as a beginning of existence or I have some sort of limitation. It doesn't then mean that's going to be a necessary entailment when I say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. And that small level of similarity is enough to make the term intelligible or to make the term understandable when I say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. In the same way here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is amazed and the Prophet's amazed. The Prophet would be amazed in a sense that involves deficiency, but when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is amazed, it won't have any deficiency such as him having some sort of deficiency in his knowledge.